Okay, so the structure that you see on the screen is two-level structure. We have discussed the n tier when I was explaining you the three-tier system. But there are two-tier system where you are accessing the data from the data warehouse via separate client systems, right? The client system is directly dealing with the data warehouse. In our previous n tier, in the three-tier example, there was another layer between the data warehouse and the client, which was the analytical server, OLAP servers. So that is the difference. So this is generic two-level infrastructure. Three-level architecture we have already discussed. You have the source file, you have the enterprise data, and then you are selecting and aggregating. There is a OLAP server, means data marts, and then you are the clients are able to access the separate marts, right? That is three-tier. So this is just another example of the three-layer data architecture. It's the same thing. So the data mart in the data mart in the data warehouse, as I explained earlier, is the data warehouse but limited in the scope. It's just a simple cluster of information based on a very specific requirement. Maybe it's a marketing data, maybe it's finance data, maybe it's sales data, or maybe it's a combination of two or three departments which are linked with each other. So that's the data mart. Okay, so that is the on the screen now you will see is a data dictionary that is called the metadata. So this is an example of metadata. So in the data, so, and also it's called data dictionary. So basically what you are doing is you are trying to identify the information about a specific thing that you are going to use. For example, in the movies, we have a genre, right? The genre means that is the so we are defining what is a genre for our database. For genre for our database is the category of movie which such as comedy, horror, or drama. In our system, we will be calling it genre ID. That is the genre ID. That is the genre, and it will be integer and a unique number. So that is the data format, right? And then the genre itself, which is the word number like horror, comedy, drama, it is a string up to 50 characters. So what is a string, by the way, for database? Does anybody has an idea what is a string? We are now explaining the metadata. So the metadata is defined like this. One metadata is defined with the attribute, the data format. How is going to be the what is the uniqueness in this data? Is it unique? It is integer. Integer means it's a number, right?
Yeah.
Integer means it's a number. String means it can be a alphanumeric. It can have
Alphanumeric coding, we say.
huh?
Coding.
Yeah. So basically, you have to tell this general ID is going to be the number, or is going to be a alphanumeric number, or just only be a alpha number, right? Can be ABC. For example, it can be it can be only alphabetic numbers. You will not accept any other thing. When you are putting your passwords, you might have noticed in the different websites have different standards. Some websites are accepting the special characters. Some websites does not accept special characters. Some websites are forcing you with the minimum 8 characters, and some are putting the that's you need to have one small cap and one big cap and one numeric as a minimum, right? So that is called the data format. And when we are defining the password in our data warehouse, we have told the system to check that the entry of the data should be this should be meeting this qualification. So we have to specify in our database what kind of password will we accept. If we are going to accept the password with special characters, or we are not going to accept special characters. Sometimes they have some websites have a specific what kind of special character they will accept. Some they don't accept hyphen, some don't accept dollar, some don't accept and ampersand, some don't accept hash. So there are different websites, they have different criteria. So when we are designing the system, we have to specify, right? when we are defining our sales will be what? Our sales will be number. Um, our sales will be, what will be the unit of this number? Will be in liters, in the kilograms, in the meters. What will be the unit of this sale? So we have to define that, right? Or will be a square meter, so that the data, when you are going to analyze the data, it's clearer, and when you are entering the data, is also clearer. There is no wrong, there is no mis calculation in that format. So that is something which is need to explain about the metadata. So this is the example. Okay, then we were trying to understand the ETL. So what is the meaning of ETL? ETL, as I explained, it's called extract, transform, clean, and load the data. So these are specific applications. For example, just Excel, right? Sometimes the data, sometimes the output from one file is a CSV format, maybe a text format, notepad format, wordpad format, right? So what you are doing is you are importing that file into the Excel, and then it will open up into a separate window to convert into a table. So what you are doing, you are trying to tell the example, to tell the Excel, I want to make a table by columns at this length, this length, this length, and what will be the date format is MDY or DMY, or month come first, or only the year, I want only the year, or I want only the month. What would be the date format? So that is called the extraction and transformation. Cleanliness means basically there are sometimes empty rows, right? Or there are sometimes the wrong data, which is called, we call this outliers, right? So there are we will be learning more about outliers in tomorrow session with the data mining. But the idea is to clean up the data. Maybe there is a wrong, there is a missing data, and then once you have finalized everything, it will be loaded into the data warehouse once you have transformed everything in as per the specifications. So that is the purpose of ETL. Extract data from the different systems and stage at a central place, and then you transform that into the similar structure that is you need for your database, because not all operating system will have the same format, right? You may be looking at the report from your different departments. Even the within the department, the AR aging can be different if you ask the different peoples, right? So somebody may add the customer name and his address and his credit limit and his outstanding by age bracket. Some maybe just put only the customer name and the amount outstanding, right? So they are not the same. The data source and the format is not the same. So you have to transform them into a uniform subject, and then load that data into the warehouse, and then you will be cleaning up the system. So we will not go through the detail of important criteria for the ETL. Selecting the ETL tools are sometimes available as a standard, and sometimes it has to be developed specifically for the organization, special organization. But the key characteristic is that it should be able to read unlimited number of data sources. Means you have to make the system very intelligent, and it should be able to automatically capture and deliver the metadata. Otherwise, you have to provide the metadata every time. And then it has ability to conform to the open standards, and has an easy to use interface for the developer. So that is the ETL. It's a bit technical, so we are not gonna spend too much time on it. Okay, so that is the in an Excel, just an Excel example. So initial load when the file was created and subsequent update. So steps in the data reconciliation process is called, so when you want to import the file, so you can say add data, go to the import external data, and then new database query. So this is how you can put into the Excel. And then you will be normally be required to check if there's any missing data, right? So here you can see there are some fields are missing, or there may be some misspellings, or there can be the date format can be different. Some may be the MDY, some may be DMY. uh, then that also has to be fixed, right? Some data formats may be wrong. Some age may be wrong. So you have to clean up the data using the sometimes use the pattern recognition, sometimes use the sort from the smallest to biggest, biggest to smallest, or use the filters to identify the missing information. In Excel, there is already a tool which is called data analysis. Once you click on data analysis, it will ask you what type of, so it will able to identify the duplicacy, the missing data, and the patterns. So it's easier in Excel. And then you will transform the data into the required format. It can be to the convert a date format into the system. It can be the aggregating the data to summary level. It can be the change the data into comma format, and maybe change the unit currency or whatever you want to change. You need to transform the data. So that is the one example of the data transformation, right? And then you have to load and index the transaction. So this is here you can see on the screen that once you load the process, there you have to adjust the metadata, the field properties for every idea, every type of column, so that it can be clear. Otherwise, your metadata will not be correct. Okay, that was the general overview of data warehouse. Any question on data warehouse, or is not clear? Hello?
In a simple way, Mr. Manish, it's look like you have a system,
Yeah,
and you have your sales department, your finance department, and
Yeah.
all the other departments, and how they are processing their data into this one system data input, and how they're generating the report based on that data input.
correct. So basically, you take it as an example that you have a customer data from sales department, right? And you want to take the list from all the sales, all the customers, because finance will not have all the customers, right? The CRM is there, right? So basically, let's say CRM and finance department are not finance systems are not combined together. So what you are doing is, if let's say that tomorrow the sales director want to know how much is the sales, actual sales by a customer. Now in your CRM, you don't have the data because you're not doing the actual billing, you're not recording the actual sales. If in the CRM, you are just using it for follow up, for billing, for sending the advance information, right? For emails or for making contact on or other kind of general inquiries. So what you do is you will download the data of all the customers, whatever customers has been there, whatever prospects has been there, and then you will match it with the data from finance. So from finance, you will extract the information about the customers and their sales, and then you will be matching it together. So basically, that this is what the data warehouse applications is also doing in a much larger or much deeper sense. But the idea remains the same. You extract the information from both the systems, and then you will match index it with the customer ID. Now the customer ID can be different, right? The CRM maybe have a different customer ID, and finance may have a different customer ID. So what you need a common ID, a list or a common master sheet, where you say, okay, this is my customer. In CRM, this is identified by ABC, and in finance is defined by XYZ. So once you are downloading the data from both, then you will use that common identity to be able to integrate the data, so that this particular customer, the code is X in the CRM and Y in the finance, but now I'm able to match it because I know these are same customers, right? So this is how the data warehouse also work. They take the system from the different database, they transform them into a same common integrated data warehouse, and then use it for analysis. So that's the purpose.